Hey everyone, big project here for me. Got a few things I'm going to do to this golf cart. It's a 1991 Club Car DS electric, so you can see it there. I've had it for 10 years. I've been dealing with lead acid batteries and I'm done. There's the cart. I put new ones in quite a while back and literally they were interstate, don't even get me started, and within months the stuff started melting. It was a nightmare. It's been an ongoing thing and I'm done with it. So what I'm going to do is I bought a lithium pack, a 36 volt. This is an old resistor cart. So we're going to see how it goes. Hearing lots of things, and as an electrician I get the concept of why it's not great. One of the best things I actually heard or read online when I was just doing a little bit of research to see what others kind of thought or what theirs did, and it's like putting $1,000 saddle on a $50 mule. And I chuckled a bit because I'm like, that is a great way to explain it. But this cart's been with us 10 years. My kids, when they were young, helped me paint the flames on it. It's, I'm just like, you know what, we're going to give it a try. And I didn't want to spend the money on a controller and all that yet. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do the lithium. Let's see what happens. And yes, it's going to be a huge draw. It's not, it's gonna, the resistors are gonna pull a lot from it, and you're not gonna get the range you should get, but it'll still be 1,000 times better than the crap I've been dealing with, and I'm still excited to try. So with that, let me show you what I got. So here's what I picked up. This video and me are not sponsored, affiliated with anything, so I say good, bad, whatever about whatever. I am just honest. So I just did a lot of research, and this one for the price seemed very good. So we're gonna see. So far, very impressed with how it came. So I think the bigger issue I'm gonna have is not the quality of this, but how it responds to a resistor cart, a toaster cart. Vatrer, you tell me. Vatrer, well, then there's R silent. I don't know, big V we'll call it. So the big V battery. So the package came with a decent price compared to what was out there. So this is a 36 volt, 105 amp hour. It came with the battery, the LCD screen. Turn that on so you can see it. I'm not going to do a review for all this. You can look online and check the big V out and see this package. But so far it seems pretty good. But it comes with this. The screen, it's got a lot of info on it, and the charger, so you know that at least they're compatible. That was my big thing. The rest of it I bought, so I just did a bench test here. That's why I took it out, because I thought, well, I want to bench test everything in my 12 volt system before I put it in the cart, because I'd rather see some issues now than have it all installed. You go to turn it on and go, what are you talking about? So basically what I'm doing in the cart is I'm going to have the inboard charger, then I'm going off down to a voltage reducer from 36 down to 12. From that I'm going to use an actual couple of buses, so that way if I want to put in future ones it's real easy. And I even got some little short fuses I can put. So as an electrician, my brain goes to fuses, branch circuits, and accessibility. Keep it easy. So a little more work now and a little more wiring, but if you want to add something in the future, totally easy, quick and simple. That's what I like. So I ran that over. So let's turn the battery on and I'll show you real quick. The other way you could go about it is, and I thought about it, is putting in a relay, because some of the concerns is this is going to be a little, your voltage reducer is going to be a little bit of draw, and it's going to pull down and then just sort of kill your battery a little bit. So you want to put a relay ahead of it or something to that effect. You could do a solenoid, but a relay would be the cheaper, easier way. And then that one, hook it to your ignition key, so this gets shut off every time. But by doing that, and that's my 12 volt, I actually thought, well, what if I want to turn the lights on or do something? Because I do have a battery big enough to handle the lights being on for a little bit. It's not the end of the world now, where with the lead acid world, I was always concerned and I didn't want to add anything to it. I was so worried about stressing them out, where now I'm not. I didn't want that to be turned off with my ignition. So this is the board I bought. USB and all that crap, typical stuff, your switches that I'm going to do my lights off of. But because this battery is a big bank versus a bunch of small ones, and you can just turn it off, I can just do that and kill it. And now I'm not worried about it. So I have my own sort of kill switch. I don't need to use the ignition. Also, within the battery itself, I don't need to show you here, but this and it's a Bluetooth app, you can go in and just, if you want on your phone or here, just quickly turn it off. Like, I don't even have to hit the button. So I felt for this system, because of the way it's designed, and this is the same as what your EB, and there's a bunch of others like it, but your box battery, your lithiums, not your individuals, you don't need the relay. It almost seems overkill. So to each his own, but for me, I didn't want to do it. So this is what I'm installing, and that's where it's going. So we're gonna see. I don't have a light pointed down there yet, but you can see the, well, you can't see shit, but it looks like crap in there. And half of them are melted. 3 of them I threw in the garbage because they were melted. They're just, I quit maintaining them this last weekend. Another corner melted a bit, and I'm just like, I'm done. That was it. So I'll get a light in here and show it all, but there's the resistor and all that. And my biggest concern that I have, other than it going completely smooth, is this size is literally half an inch, 3/4 of an inch too long to fit beautifully between the 2 big aluminum frames, the I-beams that come down on the DS, the Club Car DS. So I'm still, as I'm doing this right now, not sure how I'm gonna fit this in, but we're gonna figure it out. So I'm not gonna show every little thing. I'm gonna show the main parts in between so you can get a gist of what I did, and we'll go from there. So just to quickly show what we got here, the existing, and I've had it for 10 years, but then there's been a lot of fingers in here, and I see wires that are teed off and cut, and so I'll probably end up going through and tagging and simplifying a bunch of stuff. But these interstate batteries, as an example, and this happened out, like, these batteries are probably like 5 years old now, 6 years old, so even if they ran well, normal batteries, they would have been tired by now. But these were melting, posts were melting, and with clean terminals, everything, they were just melting. Literally, a couple of them went months after getting it, where I had to repost them, buy posts, and just sort of put them in the spots, like drill and tap them into the soft spots on the side on the lead. But anyway, that's why they're gone. I'm done with it. There's the cover for the resistors, and the resistors are under there. So we'll see what we have to do to make this fit, but now you can sort of see what we started with. Okay, I'm going to show you the connections. They didn't do it exactly properly, this old cart. It's been, like I said, tweaked with a few times, but I labeled stuff. Some of it isn't quite like the schematic, but I'll explain the differences and where stuff should be. But I'll explain where things are on this one and what we need and what we don't. This is kind of the most important part. The rest is just getting stuff out of the way and putting the new one in. So, coming from the, where are we here? Coming from the positive, we have 2 wires on there. One, right here, this black guy, goes back to the motor. So that is the positive for the motor. So, the negative to the motor. So that's, we're going to rehook that back up to our negative on our lithium. This one, it says it's red on the schematic, so obviously it's been changed over time. But this is the negative that goes back to the charger. So this goes back, and if you follow it, it goes to our charging station. Okay. Now what's supposed to happen, so that one's going to disappear because we have a different charger. So that one's going to be obsolete. This one we still need on our negative. But just to show you as an example, what these people did, whoever the many owners before me, I'm assuming, you have your positive goes through the fuse, and then it's supposed to go on a red wire and go up to the main positive. Well, main is in the first one of the 36 volts. So what we have is a main positive here that goes back to our selector switch, our F and R switch, But on the schematic it says that the red coming off of here goes back and ties in over here. Well, it doesn't on this cart. If I follow it, it's right here. All they did was they doubled up on the lug down below where our positive comes in. So rather than run it all the way, they decided to use this as its connection point. Not the end of the world, it ran fine. But just to, so if you look on your schematic and, hey, there should be 2 wires there, and there isn't, this could be one of the reasons. So the other thing on this cart, and I never looked at it, and I just always rewired it as it was when I got it. So this is the positive for reverse. If you look at it, it should have went right there. That would it's supposed to, and the schematic shows it that way. It's supposed to go halfway. So they went, instead of getting 50%, they went 66%. So reverse had a little more jam than what it should have. Not the end of the world, but the schematic says it's there. If you don't see it there, we'll take a look. Maybe they put it there like the people did on my cart, and then I just followed suit because it worked. So I didn't question or dive into it. So I just wanted to show you that. So what we're going to do, because I don't have a controller, for the lithium, I'm going to take the main positive and my reverse positive, and I'm just going to put them together and put them on the positive lug on the lithium battery. So I'm going to have full jam in reverse. I'm not going to have 50% jam. So I'm going to have forward and reverse, positive right there. And then I'm going to have negative to the motor. And then on top of that, I'm going to have, and I'll show you once it's all done, but I'll show along the way. And then on top of that, I'm going to have positive negative for the battery charger and a positive negative for my 36 to 12 volt reducer. So there you go. Hopefully that might help someone, because here's an example of from 91 to now, enough owners have gotten their fingers in there, and it might not exactly be as the schematic, but still works. So hopefully that helps some. I'm going to keep pulling these carts out, these batteries out, and I'll show you once we get to sort of the next step. Okay, so here we are. Everything's out. First off, actually I will say, when you're lifting all these batteries, and I've had these ever since the Interstate gave me a couple of these for free. It's the one thing Interstate did do that was great, is these battery holders are game changer, especially when you're trying to get in and out of here. It just makes everything so easy. Definitely make sure you get some of these. Okay, so now on to our problem. There's the resistors and the heat shield. What I'm looking at is this battery, this Super V battery, is too wide from here to here if you want to put it parallel with the cart. Well, I guess carts this way should be perpendicular, but parallel with that beam. It's literally an inch too wide, and the width, it goes, if you set it right there, it literally will go, I'd have to move this solenoid over a couple inches, and then you could make it fit. You're going to be tight against your switches, but I would also have to notch the I-beam on either side, and I really don't want to do that. This thing has been structurally sound since 91. I don't want to be the guy to make it bend in half by weakening that. So I really don't want to do that. The only thing else I can come up with, the sides, it is just too big. It won't fit in any direction, so all I can think of is take this resistor bank, take the coils and the heat shield, take that, move it over to there. All these cables look long enough. Shouldn't be an issue. Put it on the opposite side of the V-Glide there. There's a angle iron right there. I can just, actually, so simple, bolt the couple bolts that are holding it on. You got a cable there, a shorter one, and a longer one there coming off the motor. If I swap them, that one should be long enough to reach from where this one's going over to where this will be over here. And depending on my battery, how far I push it back, I might be able to get, yeah, it might work. Worst case, I got to buy a cable. I can do that. Like, you know, that's not the end of the world. Sadly, I don't have that to make that here. Smaller size I do in the moment, but so I think that's my best bet. And I measured, and the clearance from there to here it works. There's about a ½ inch difference, so that's fine. So the seat will close and it's not going to rub. Only issue I will have, minor one, but this is higher than that. So I'm going to have to do something to bump that up a bit to make it so the battery's flat. That being said, officially lithium doesn't have to be dead flat. These aren't lead acid, but still, it would be nice if I could put something there and make it flat. Now if I do that, depending on where I put this battery, if I slide it back a bit like that, I should have enough room to easily get at connections and work on this if I ever needed to. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. Take this off, slide it over. Before I get too carried away, I'm doing just move it out of the way and then just see how that battery fits in there and see if that works. So I'll keep you updated. I think that's what we're going to end up doing here. So something I want to show you that I came across, it's quite important. When going through and cleaning up the wiring, there was a bit of a mess in there and wires going everywhere, and re-spliced 6 times and just twisted together, and I'm surprised it even ran. But when going through it, I'm in the process of removing this charge point. I don't need the 36 volt charge point anymore. It leaves this black wire, which is not even black on mine, but this wire that comes from the V-Glide limit switch without a home. So this one gets disconnected, not needed anymore, in the sense of this is now going to go to the new battery. But this gets lost in translation. So here's the schematic as I see it. The circuit itself, it starts at your F and R switch, is where it gets its power. It comes off your main positive. That also goes to the positive. I didn't put it here, but it's connected to the positive at the end of your battery bank. But so from there it goes up to your ignition. From there it comes down to the limit switch on your F and R. Then it comes down, activates the solenoid, goes through, hits the V-Glide limit switch, and then it goes to the negative on the charge point. So the charge port point, whatever, but the charge port right here is also connected to your negative. So that's where it ends the circuit. So I had it so it didn't really go anywhere, and I'm like, well, I need something. So I had to go through and just double check all this to make sure that I can rewire it, because a lot of this didn't go where this says. I had to change a bunch of it actually. So just so you know, make sure that when you put in the new lithium battery, this wire that comes off the V-Glide has to make it back down to negative. We got to pick up a negative somewhere. So that's this one right here. It comes off the V-Glide limit switch. It's got to make it back to the new lithium negative. So that's an additional one on the negative, just as a heads up. Because I could see that being one that could get missed. And then you'd be scratching your head after. Okay, now okay, we got the battery in. I haven't done all the rest of the stuff, but I wanted to test it to see if it works before I get too carried away. Because absolute worst case, if for some reason something's not happy or solenoids keep blowing, then I can put I can buy some really cheap new deep cycles, and we'll put them back in and sell the cart or use it that way. So I'll show you what I did, and then we'll test this. And fingers crossed, let's see if this works. So the battery itself, I had to put it orientation that way, perpendicular to the cart. And if you see what I did, down below where it sits, that metal rail down there is lower by about 2 inches, 2¼ inches than the back here. So I got wood. Ideally I would have liked metal, but I didn't have anything stock steel kicking around for that. That would work. So I used some wood. And then I used, drilled through it and the frame below it, and the angle iron that holds the batteries, the lead acids, and then I put the 2 bolts through it. I figured that that wouldn't be enough, and that I would also have to put something to hold the back part. I guess it's past halfway where this other support is. I tightened it up as tight as I could, because it's 2 pieces of metal squeezing wood, and it is not moving anywhere. So who knows if after a bunch of driving it wiggles, I'll take a Sharpie and put a couple of lines down there next to the battery on either side on the metal, and then see after driving if it moves around or wiggles. But using my weight, I'm 6 foot 220, and I could not budge the back end of it. So I think we're pretty good. That being said, then being that it's a toaster cart, I had to move the coils. So here's the resistor coils on this side. Pretty easy, actually. All I had to do was re-drill those 2 holes and just a couple of Tech screws and bang it down into it. Makes it so I can't put anything else on this side. They get so hot that I don't want to risk it. As you can see, I did have to buy 1 cable to get back to the motor. It was too short by moving it, but easy enough to do. I didn't have the materials to make a larger cable, but buy a cable, put it in, done. So make sure those cable wires, yeah, are far enough off the resistor. I'm going to do a little better cable management for that eventually, but okay, let's see what we got. Let's put the key on. Let's go reverse. And cross your fingers, guys. Oh, I didn't turn the battery on. Haha, had a small heart attack there. We're good. There we go. That helps. Okay. I felt sadness there for a second, but we get another crack at this now. Okay, let's see if it goes. Oh, yeah. Nice and smooth. Perfect. Okay, well, I'm happy with that. I will have to watch out because reverse will be the same speed as forward, but that is a major win, guys, for all the modding under here that I did, and that it works seamless. So now I got tons of, the next thing is obviously I got to find a spot for the charger. I got to remove that and put a 120 port so you can just plug in an extension cord. There's tons of wires left over here from owners of past, all 12 volt something. So I'm going to go through and literally I don't need any of it, rip it all out. And then I'm going to put some more stuff. I got to put a light up front. I'm going to put it down by the bumper, remove that one. And I got a little gauge right there with some switches, 3 gang that I'm going to put there, and then that should be it. So now on to the 12 volt wiring, and I'll show you guys what I finished up with once that's done. No point showing you the long tedious crap. So right there is where I'm looking at mounting it, because this side's going to be too hot with that resistor. I wanted to and then have this open for like a spot for a cooler, but because it's a toaster cart, I can't. So I'm going to put a piece of plywood down there, and I can mount my charger and my voltage reducer and my bus bars and all that stuff that I got. So, okay, well, until the next little section. Okay, upgrade is now done. Overall, have to say I'm very happy with it. I'll go through, walk through the cart real quick on sort of pros and cons, or just things I came across and how I did it all, and final result. And I threw in some extra, now that I got the juice, I threw in some extra 12 volt accessories kind of thing. So I'll just show you everything and how I did it, and hopefully it helps you too. If this is helpful and you've been watching along, throw a subscribe, a like, help a guy out, and okay, with the flame cart being done, I'll show you. There's our Super V pack. Again, don't know how to say that name. Happy with it, solid, bolted it down, took it like a champ, doesn't move. One thing I was a bit of a pain in the butt is you can see these rubber caps that go over top. When there's one cable there, looks awesome, convenient. This bottom part's a bit tight, so you have to put your, rather than have like others with a sliding cap over top, you have to run your cables through it. So I have like 4 cables on each one. It was a bit tight. That was a pain in the butt to do each of those. So that was one sort of negative per se. Small stuff, but so you can see here, here's how I ran it. Let's see if I can just get this light to stay there. So this is tons of extra cabling. Nice if you're not doing it on board, I guess, but with it being on board, a lot of cable management after. So that pro and con kind of thing. Can't complain, I guess, when they send you too much, but at the same time, you got to manage it now. When charging, this case gets pretty warm. I got it mounted on wood, so it's not that warm, but enough so that I just want to make sure there's a little bit of clearance of everything. So coming off, I got my reducer, my voltage reducer from 36 to 12. From that, I ran it to a positive negative bus bar. So I was thinking for future, a lot more work now, but for future, if I want to add something, I can just quickly tap into that and run something. So that was my thinking on that. Worked out pretty good. Nice clean install. I was happy with that. On the other side, I had to move the resistors over. I made sure I was humming and hawing about putting something there above it or beside, and I'm like, no, I just decided to keep that bay completely empty. It's going to get really hot. I don't want anything near it. I had to tie back the V-Glide wires just to confirm, just to ensure, I should say, that there's lots of separation and I don't want them near it. You can see the one new wire there. I had to run one new wire back to the motor, but not a big deal. And that was it. Everything went pretty good, actually. It was a bunch of work, but it worked. Like, no big headaches. Up here, for this kit, that's where I decided to mount the screen, because I wanted it a bit back so it would be a bit waterproof on the front. The one crappy thing about that, I will say, is that there's the connecting piece in the back. It's sort of weather sealed around the back and where the small connector goes in. So I didn't want to break that since it was factory. So the plug end where it connects to the actual cord that comes back is actually quite big. So I had to cut a large piece here. You can see the size of that. That's how big I needed in order to get the connector through. So that was a bit of a unexpected, but not a big deal, especially I guess because this is a 1991 cart. I'm not as worried about it. But if you had a newer cart, to start cutting a 1 inch by 1 inch hole kind of thing, you have to really decide where. I bought a little kit to go on. It went on not too bad for my 3-gang light switches and USB charger. It all comes pre-wired, and so you just got to hook in the positive, but there's no place to grab a negative or a ground. So I ended up just mounting a little bus in there, and then so I got a spot to land my grounds. With that, it didn't have it. The frame was not grounded before, so I had to add one off my bus here and just come over and bite down. So now the frame is actually negative. It's actually grounded. So other than that, it went really well. Performance wise, took it for a little rip here. It goes really well. That resistor obviously is chewing up a lot of energy even when you're going low because there's no motor controller. But I would say when you do a fresh charge on the old batteries, on the old lead acid, for the first couple of minutes it felt like it was really spunky, and then it would just start to fall off. I would say this is the same or just a little bit more, meaning that probably just the lack of weight of the batteries gives you that little bit more. The big thing though is so it's a little bit better than its best before, but it stays there. It doesn't weaken, so that's nice. So now, as for range, I can't say. I haven't, I just did this. I will do an update once I got an idea on range and how quickly this toaster cart actually does use up the battery. We'll see. But I will put that in the comments, or I'll throw something once I got an idea of what it is. I did see the voltage rating. The nice thing about this one is I could check on my phone as I was driving, and when I was going slow, it was 38 amps it was pulling, and when I was going full throttle, it was 42. So there's that that waste of energy because of being a resistor cart, where if it had a motor controller you'd be down to a couple amps when you're barely crawling. So that's where the waste is. But yeah, overall very happy with it. I put in some underground lights to, and I'll just sort of quick show what I did. So on this, what I would recommend, when you take this off, this plate, cut a line down the bottom. I used a hacksaw and just cut a hole, a slice through it. Then you can take it off the steering column. So much easier to work on this on the bench. Well, there you go. So I'll fix that, but careful, ignition wire at 36, when you're putting it in and holding your phone with one hand, it arced out right here. So I'll take that off and fix it up, but you can see what I did. Yeah, see, you gotta, all was good until I put a phone in my hand, right? That was for you guys. So there you go. So that's the final cart, and honestly really happy. Okay, a quick follow-up after my 36 volt welding experiment. Put some tape on open terminals just in case you're doing a YouTube video while the power's on. That's all, you know. All good. Okay, so now with the power off, what I was showing you was that cut that hole there. So now what we'll do is we'll turn it on. You hit the button. I'll show you. We'll turn the display on. I'll just show the whole thing here real quick. Our final result. Nice little display. So there's my rocker switches. So I got front light, and then I put some nice nighttime glow. It's a fire cart, so we got to get some red under the wheels. So I did that on both sides. So yeah. So let me know how your lithium upgrade went. Did I miss something, or did you come across something a little different? Let me know how yours went, and hopefully it goes well and you're happy with it like I am.